Freilich and Chanukah, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. And we have a full evening this evening because after the daf we also have the Chumash here, L'Kavod Chanukah on this first night of Chanukah. And always remember that while donuts are nice and latkes are delicious and the family is appropriate, learning Torah is the very essence of Chanukah, together with thanks and praise to Hashem. And we're thankful to Hashem that we could gather together and learn every night Hashem's Torah. And we will start by welcoming in Saba. And we welcome in Yoshua Yamansky, Yaakov Warman, Dr. Udell. We welcome in Irving Fishbaum, Eddie Chazan, Ruvain Pollack, Mark Frankel. What is this, every other night these days? Marshall Castle, Mel Zachter, Itchy, Yitzi Muller, Shimon Klein, Michal, Yitzi Fuchs, Moshe Lehman, Nachman Chapler, Abe Arbach, Naftali Jablin, David Helfgott on Kololoshin. Over here in the shul, we have the pleasure of having Gedalia Engel, Rich Lenner, Michal Avram, Reb Shlomo Yehuda, Jack, Ruvain Shanit, Reb Halpert, and let's welcome in Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg from Florida. We are sponsored by the Rezepkowitz family in honor of their parents, by Mr. and Mrs. Eddie Chazan, L'Refuah Shalema for Shoshana Bas Penina and Simon Bas Rachel, and Klal Yisrael. Also co-sponsored by Binyamin Rivlin, Nishmas Yitzchak Ben Avram Yehuda Halevi, Berish Gesseman is here, Beirut Goldwasser for Akar Satayv to the Shir, and for my continued L'Refuah Shalema, Moshe Meir Ben Esther Fradel, Shalom Fogel, Le'iloi Nishmas, Yaakov Zev Ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas Gad, Yosef Ben Sion Ben Yaakov Zev, and just in Shelley Zeitlin for my refuah, and in honor of his children, Ora and Orit, and his son. How does it? He was a ben bias by me, his son. That they should have continued atzlacha, and we welcome in Dr. Block, who's joining us on this wonderful Chanukah night as we start on the bottom of Zion on the base, 2 lines from the bottom. Ushpezichne de Rav. Rav was staying at a inn, and his host, also the Kamei Ladina, came before Rav for a din Torah. Amaloi, and the host said, Lav ushpezichni at, weren't you my guest in my inn? Amalei inn. So Rav said, yes, I was. Amalei dina isli, I have a din Torah. So Amalei, so Rav said, Pasilna lach ladina. I'm disqualified to rule upon you, since I enjoyed your inn and you hosted me. I might not be impartial. Amalei Rav Rav Kahana, so Rav said to Rav Kahana, poke daine, so go and take care of his din. Chaz yodavet kagoisbe. Rav Kahana saw that he had like this haughty manner, as if he's an associate of Rav, you know. Amalei, so Rav Kahana put him in his place right away. Rav Kahana told him, if you're going to listen to the law and you're going to accept the judgment, good. If not, I'll knock Rav out of your ear by excommunicating you. Now the pasuk says, Kakoten kagodol tishman. Like the big, you should listen to the small. Right? Kakoten kagodol tishman. You should take care of the judgment of the small like the judgment of the big. She chaviv alecha din shel pruta, that you should take care, and it should be as precious to you, a matter that is only involves a pruta kedin shel mea mana, like 100 mana. That's a lot of money. So the Gemara says, "Amay hilchasa, ilay malayune beit to give it the careful scrutiny, umifseke, and to rule fairly. Pshita, that's obvious. But we know that there's theft even on a pruta, and we have to be careful even on a pruta. Elalag dume, I might think that a judge might be able to say, okay, this is a big, heavy matter involving a lot of money, so we're going to give it precedence, even though the case of the pruta was there first, and it's telling us that we don't do that. First come, first serve. Lo yisaguru mipnei ish. Now, we said one shot in this is that if a student has an argument that will go against the rich man, he shouldn't gather it in and hold in his argument, but he should express it. You shouldn't withhold your words because of any man. Of course, there's another pshat that we said, and that is like you shouldn't be fearful of any man, even if the person is a strong-armed person. And we take the opportunity to welcome in Barry Cement, whose record has been perfecto. Barry, it's very noticeable that you've been Amish with a perfect record. And Eddie, it's good to have you as we continue to learn also for your gesund, your strength. You did your Bas Pnina. Of course, he's been in 6 states since then. But are you still in Kew Gardens? Eddie, are you still in Kew Gardens? He's not.
I'm here tonight. I'm flying to Dallas tomorrow, though.
Of course. Nothing stops you from being on the run. I understand.
He's one of the cheerleaders for the football team.
I can't dance right now.
Okay. Says the Gemara Vaita, Ki amishpat leli kimhu, because judgment is God's. So it says the Gemara,
Amen. That's not my Gemara. No, but you came on right when he said strong arm, Barry. What's going on?
I know, I was waiting for that, Marshall.
Ki amishpat leli kimhu, Amar Rabbi Chama bar Chanina, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As this is a theme that we repeated many times, Lo dayan l'rishon, it's not enough that the wicked judge, they take away money from one person and give it to the other unlawfully. I have to then return the money. I have to return the money to the rightful owner. Now, the Mefarshim say that's a tircha for Hashem. What's a tircha for Hashem? Hashem is kol yachol, but it means that Hashem doesn't like to change the natural order of things. Hashem likes to do everything b'derech hateva, and sometimes to return money to its rightful owner, Hashem has to manipulate the teva, and that's not something that the Rabbeinu Shalom likes to do. V'adover asher yikshe mikem. And if Moshe Rabbeinu told the Zekanim that what's difficult for you, then you'll bring to me, and I'll hear it. For saying this, Moshe Rabbeinu was punished. He shouldn't have said, if you have something difficult, bring it to me. He should have said, if you have something difficult, we'll put it to Hashem. So then later, by the B'nai Slavchad, Moshe Rabbeinu was stumped, and he had to go before Hashem. Says the Gemara, there was nothing haughty in what Moshe Rabbeinu said. Moshe Rabbeinu just said, and I'll listen to it. He didn't say, I'll know the answer. Does it say, and I will make you hear the answer? Does it say that I'll know? Did he act like a know-it-all? Ushmativ ksiv. It says I'll listen to it. If I know, no. Then I'll go and ask Hashem. Do you know why he didn't have the answer for the Bnei Slavchot? Elikidisanya. Re'uya parshas nachalos shetikosev al yidei Moshe Rabbeinu. Really, the parsha of inheritance should have been written all through Moshe Rabbeinu. Ela shezochu b'nei Slavchot v'nichtav al yadin. The b'nei Slavchot merited, and it was written through them. And Re'uya is the parshas Mekoshe shetikosev al yidei Moshe Rabbeinu. The parsha of the Mekoshes is worthy to be written through Moshe Rabbeinu. The Mekoshish was Mechal Shabbos. Either he cut wood or he gathered wood. It's all machlokes in Masechta Shabbos. But he was Mechal Shabbos. Moshe Rabbeinu knew he was supposed to die, but he didn't know with which death. He didn't know it was stoning. And really it should have been written by Moshe Rabbeinu. The Mekoshes was chayev and nichtav al yadai, and it was done through him. L'lamedcha, this is to teach us shemigalgal and chayva al yadei chayev. Guilt is brought through the guilty, u'zechus al yadei zakai, and merit is brought through the meritorious. Now, by the way, this is a very important hashkafic idea. We sometimes grapple with how am I not supposed to hate someone who caused me bad? I mean, this person, because of him, I lost my job. So how am I not supposed to hate him? So the answer really is in this week's parsha and the next, and that is that Yosef didn't hate the brothers. How does he not hate the brothers? Because of them, he was away from his family for 22 years. He missed all 10 weddings of Binyamin and Binyamin's wedding. He missed. He was put in a snake and scorpion, in a pit of snake and scorpions. He begged his brothers not to sell him into perpetual slavery, and they didn't listen. How is he not supposed to hate them? And the answer is, Ki lo yatem shlachtem oisihena. You didn't send me here. Ki alakim. Nothing happens to a person unless he deserves it to happen. So by thinking that it's not because of this person, then there's no reason to hate him. Because it didn't happen because of him. If he wouldn't have done it, somebody else would have done it. Now that doesn't get the person off the hook. Because megalgal and chayiv al yidei chayiv. It happens through a person that's a guilty person. But the bottom line is that it takes a very big bite out of the sinner. If you know that it didn't happen, you didn't lose your job because of this person. You didn't lose the shidduch because of this person. You lost your shidduch because it wasn't your shidduch, or you didn't deserve the shidduch. You lost your job because you didn't have Aveira. Ksiv, it says, as we welcome in Shelley, Shelley, would you believe when I was saying the dedication, I forgot your son's name? I can't believe it.
You've only known him 35 years.
35 years. I knew,
Things slip.
I knew Orit.
All right, you're forgiven.
Oh, Shelley, you're such a good guy.
Oh, I know. Otherwise, I might not, Marshall.
Let's send him the gel. Are we?
Ben Shelley, like Bar Hadja, yeah?
Ksiv v'atzave es sheftechem ba'esahi. It says, and I commanded your judges at that time, And then it says, I commanded you, meaning the people. So what's going on? Amar Rabbi Lazar, excuse me, Amar Rabbi Lazar, Amar Rabbi Simloi, Ashara l'tzibur shetei emas dayon aleihem. It's a warning to the people that they should have the fear of the judge upon them, that they should accept the fear of the judge. They can't be cavalier with the judge. They have to accept the fear of the judge. V'ashara l'dayin sheyizbal es hatzibur. And it's a ashara to the judge to tolerate the people. The person that comes into a din Torah is sometimes angry, is sometimes belligerent, is sometimes sulky. No, those are not all positions of honor, ready to give honor and respect. So the dayan is told to tolerate the community. Ad kama, how far? As far as a father tolerates his child. As a father who is taking care of a young nursing child is tolerant of his child. Ksiv, it says, Ki atot tovai, you Yeshua will come into Eretz Yisrael. And then it says, Uksiv ki atot tovi, you will bring them into Eretz Yisrael. So initially, Moshe Rabbeinu said that Yeshua, you'll do it with the assistance of the Zakanim. You, together with the Zakanim, will bring. In other words, you'll have the Zakanim being co-leaders. Amalek Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said, no. Tol Makel, take a stick, v'hachal kodem, and hit the Zakanim on the head. In other words, they will be totally under your control. Dabar echad ladar. A generation could only have one leader. Ein shnei dabar and ladar. There's no two leaders. There's no two captains to the ship. Tana, we learned in the Braisa an enigmatic comment. Zimun b'shloisha. Now that sounds like Birchas HaZimun. You know, if you want to be able to say Nevarech Shachal Mishaloi and make it Zimun, you need three people. So my Zimun, Ilaim a Birchas Zimun. So the Gemara says, Vatani, we learned in a Braisa that there's two things. Zimun u Birchas Zimun b'shloisha. Zimun and the blessing of Zimun with three. V'chitayim Perusha Kamafarish, you know, it's just explanatory. My Zimun, Birchas Zimun. But Tanya, it's said in two separate stanzas. Zimun b'shloisha and Birchas Zimun b'shloisha. So we see Zimun is something independent. Ella says the Gemara, my Zimun, what does it mean, Zimun? Azmone ledin, to send azmona. To send someone a summons to appear in court. Three judges that are in sitting in judgment. And the agent of the court sends a summon in the name of one of the judges. The defendant doesn't have to heed it until he says it in the name of all three. But that's on a day that the court doesn't meet, on a Monday, or not on a Monday or a Thursday. The court used to meet always on Monday and Thursday. But if it's on a court date, when the court is definitely in session, then the shliach of the court is assumed to be having it from the court which is in session, and therefore less on bar. He doesn't have to say it's the name of all three. Now we continue our explanation as we welcome in Shalom Fogel towards the bottom of Daf Ches Amud Aleph. Tashlumei Kefil. Mishnah says that Tashlumei Kefil and Daled Behei says the Gemara, Shalach le Rav Nachman bar Rav Kistel Rav Nachman bar Yaakov Yilamdeinu Rabbeinu, teach us our master. Dine knosses bekama. How many judges do you need to rule on a knas like kefil? So the Gemara says, what's the question? It says, kefil, dal, hey, those are knasses, is with 3. The question is, one expert, is he allowed to judge dine knasses? Done dine knasses, I like. So the answer to this is obvious. It says kefil and dal is with 3 judges. My shloisha. That can't be. 3 commoners are not good. Your grandfather said, in the name of Rav, even 10 and their hadyatis apostle for knosses. So you see, when it says 3, it means 3 mumchin. Ela mumchin become a shleishin. It says 3, so 1 cannot do it. It has to be 3. Now, the rest of the daf discusses the case of Moitzi Shemra b'esem or with 3. Now, the case where the husband maligns his wife is where he says that he didn't find besulim. Now, it's obvious that if he comes to court and he says that I didn't find besulim, and I have witnesses that she had an affair while she was an arusa, so that's an accusation of a capital crime. So if that's the case, everybody would agree that you need a bezdin of 23. What's the argument if you need a bezdin of 3 or a bezdin of 23? The argument is where the husband is only coming to not pay the ksuva. He says, I didn't find her to be a virgin. Now, why is he believed? Why is he believed? If he doesn't have witnesses, why is he believed over her? She insists she was a virgin. The answer is since he spent a huge amount of money on the wedding, he won't walk away if he's not telling the truth. And therefore, it's talking about a case where he just wants to get out of giving her the ksuva. There's no witnesses, so she's not going to get any capital punishment. So then what's the opinion of the Rabbanan that you need a bezdin of 23? Doesn't seem to be a capital crime. So now the Gemara deals with this. The Chachamim argue with Rameir and say that you need a court of 23. Says the Gemara, why? So at this point the Gemara assumes, well, since this is a case which could have a capital case, if there would be witnesses, so therefore even if it isn't, it needs bezdin of 23, which the Gemara doesn't understand. So what if a similar case would be a capital case? This is not a capital case, so why are you gathering 23 judges? The question is because we're worried about gossip. We're worried about wagging tongues. The husband says she wasn't a virgin, so everybody's going to talk, and maybe witnesses will surface. So since maybe witnesses will surface and then it'll become a capital crime, so therefore we should start, according to the Chachamim, with a bezdin of 23. So Reb Meir Savar ain't choishin laz. We don't say that because of gossip, witnesses will surface. Rabbanan Savar choishin laz. We are worried about gossip. Rav Amar Rava says no. Kuli alma laz like chashina. Gossip is not the issue. But the hacha b'chayshishin l'kvaydan shall rishaynin kamifligi. Here, we're talking about whether we worry about the honor of the original court. What happened is the husband says he was bringing witnesses to testify against his wife that she had an affair. We're worried about the honor of the original 23. V'achav ma'askina kegoin the ikhnif bei esrin utlasa l'meidin dinei nefashis. The husband said, I have witnesses. Well, he has witnesses, that's a capital crime. So they gathered a court of 23. What happened is, but at the end, the witnesses didn't materialize. And therefore, the ibadah. And therefore, it seemed to be that the case fell apart. V'amalahu, and the husband said, okay, so she's not liable to the death sentence, but I'm credible that she should lose the ksuva. Dainu li mia dinei mamanis. At least judge me for dinei mamanis. So Rameir holds that we don't say that we're worried about the original 23 that we gathered. We say no. Now it's a monetary court. It's a monetary case. We could judge it with 3. While the Rabbanan say that we're worried about the honor of the original court. Now, Meisvei, the Chachamim, this is very interesting. The Chachamim, the sages say, Tavu Mamen Bishleisha. If the original claim is for money, then it's 3. Tavu Nefashais. If the original claim is a capital claim, be'esim v'shlosh. So, what does this mean? So the Gemara says, Bishleima l'Rava, it's good according to Rava, that if tvai mamon tchila, if the original claim was for money, in other words, he didn't come with edus that he has, that it's a capital crime. So if the original claim was for money, then b'shleisha. Tvo nefasha is tchila, but if the original claim was for death sentence, and then it fell apart, then afilu mammon, then even afterwards, when it's left only with mammon be'esim b'shleisha, it's 23, because we're worried about the kfaidan of the dayanim. But Ela Le'ula, excuse me, Ela Le'ula. But according to Ula, who we're worried about lies, we're worried about gossip, and even if it's 3, we still say that we're worried that you should have a bezin of 23 kasha. Then according to Ula, when would it ever be that tava'o mamain, that if the claim was for money, it's only 3? Because according to Ula, according to the Chachamim, even if the claim is for money, but Ula says that since we're worried about lies, since we're worried about gossip, and therefore it could come to 23, you should always need to have 23. When would it be, according to the Chachamim, that Tavo Mammon, it's only 3? So I'm 1 second. I cannot interrupt in the middle of a complicated thing. I'm a Rava, Aniva Arisha B'Chabura, I and a lion of the group. Now Tagimna, this was explained. Umanu Rav Chia Bar'avin, Hacha B'Mayaskinan. Rav is answering according to Ula. Hacha B'Mayaskinan Shehevi Abal Edim Shezinza. The husband brought witnesses that she was Mazana. Oh, there were witnesses. So the husband brought Barry and Marshall. Husband brought Barry and Marshall that she was Mazana. And she was Mazana while she was in Arusa. And they testified that it happened in Queens.
Room 208.
The behavior of Adam, but her father brought witnesses. V'zimun le'edei abal. And he proved that Marshall and Barry at that time were in Dubai. Oh, whoa. So now, what happens is that the father is able to collect 100 shekel from the husband, because the husband maligned the husband maligned the girl, right? So it's Maitzi Shemra. So it's this case that the Brisa says, if the father's claim is mammon, so then it's with 3. Ba ligvais mammon mibal. If the father comes to take money from the husband, now in that there's no laws, because in that there's no capital crime. That's bishloisha. But it would be mekayim nefashis in any case that it has to do with the girl, even if it was only that he was trying to get her not to pay the ksuva, but since we're according to Ula, we're concerned about gossip, which could lead to a bezdin of 23. There we do it be'eser mishleisha. Now, Saba, what did you want to ask?
Said before that he came to Bezdin 23 because he has witness and they didn't show up the witnesses. So the Bezdin people, they're not plain laymen, they're smart people. They could see it's suspicious something. They should give him a fine.
No, no.
Trying to put something over her.
True, but what happened?
Guys hate her so much, they want to, even if he don't care, they kill her.
True, except that it just means that they couldn't get a hold of the witnesses. It doesn't mean that it's proven that the witnesses were false. They weren't available. They went to Australia. They couldn't get a hold of him. That's all. There's nothing suspicious in that. Now, Abaya says another pshat. Tekule alma chayshina lulaz. Everybody agrees that we're concerned about gossip. And everybody agrees, umishim kfaidon shel rishonim. Everybody agrees that we're concerned about the honor of the court. Here, we're dealing with a completely different question. Here we're dealing with a case where we're not sure if this girl is going to be liable to a capital offense at all. Why? The only time a girl would be liable to a capital offense is if she was given the proper hasra before having an affair. That's the way it works. Even if a person is Mechal Shabbos in front of witnesses, if he's not given the proper warning, he doesn't get the death sentence. Now here the girl was given a warning. However, they didn't tell her that she would get skila. So according to Rav Meir, since they didn't tell her the specific death sentence, she wouldn't get the death sentence, so you only need a bezdin of 3. According to the Chachamim, it's enough that you tell her to execute her, it's enough that you tell her she's getting a death sentence. And then it's enough, then you need a bezdin of 23. Let's see it inside. They gave her a warning, but it wasn't specific. Any other death sentence in the Torah, you can only execute with the assemblage of 23. As long as she will know that not only is it forbidden, but she'll be executed. But it's enough that she knows she's executed. You don't have to know, is it chenek, is it sreifa, is it skila, is it beheading? You don't have to know that. Rabbi Yehuda Imer actually do you be'eza misahu neret. You have to tell her which specific execution. So here we're talking about where she was warned, but she wasn't warned with that she's going to get skila as a nara marasa. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's not a capital crime. She's not going to be executed. So then you only need a bezdin of 3. That's Rabbi Meir. The Rabbanan hold, like the Tanakama, that she's going to be executed because she was warned to be executed. It's enough. Rav Papa says yet a 4th pshat. Rav Papa ma'acha bi'isha chaveira askina. Here we're dealing with a knowledgeable woman. There's a machlokes if asra is only necessary if the person doesn't know it on their own. But if you know that the person knows it, then they don't need hasra. Here we're talking about a very learned woman. She taught in seminary. She was a very learned woman. Says Papa Amachabi Shechavera Askina. The kamifligi beplukted Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda Rabbanan. The Tani Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Chaver Ein Sarech Hasra. A learned person doesn't need a hasra. Why? Lefi Shalei Nitna Hasra Lahafkan Ben Shaygig Lamezid. We only give hasra to make sure that it is done willingly. I mean, it's done purposefully with premeditation. Premeditation. He knows what he's doing wrong. So here we're talking about a learned woman that wasn't given asra. According to a mayor, he holds that she still has to be given asra. Since she wasn't, it's not a capital crime. The Chacham holds such a woman doesn't need to be given asra, and therefore it's a capital case, and you need a bezdin of 23. By the way, I want to just give somebody a job over here. Maybe Shelley will do it, maybe Yitzi will do it, but somebody should check in on Mo Kushner. He's been missing already for a few days. Let's just make sure that he's all right. Also, we're going to do, I did the Mishnah Yomis already. I'm going to do now the Chumash here. Everyone is welcome to join us. And have a Freilich and Chanukah, everyone.